So here we have Dan, who is the Goetta guy. Now
guy.
you are Dan Glier.
Yes.
So
yes.
please tell us, if you will, how this thing got started, when it got started, the whole history.
The whole history. Okay. Dad grew up in a butcher family on his mother's side. His father was a violin maker, German. In fact, the family spoke German up until World War I.
Wow.
And came over from Germany, settled in a German community, which was Cincinnati at the time. Dad was told there's no future in the violin making business, get you another trade. So he grew up, started at 12 years old in the family butcher shop, was drafted in World War II, and before that he had apprenticed as a sausage maker at the H.H. Meyer Packing Company over in Cincinnati.
Aha.
Again, Meyer, good German name. So the Air Force put him into special units to do that kind of stuff. He wound up in England, but when he came back home, then he approached his brother and said, look, there's no way two families can get a good living out of a little retail store. You're going to need to find your own way.
Yeah.
He opened up a butcher shop, he and my mom opened up a butcher shop, and it had a sausage kitchen in the back, which was ideal for my dad. He had developed or begun developing his Goetta formula mid to late 30s. Then when he got his own butcher shop, he was able to create it. He said, I made Goetta in a 50-pound lard can. So that's how it got started,
Now,
1946.
Where did Goetta itself begin?
Goetta itself, Goetta, the name, is a corruption. It essentially says grits. We know that Goetta, of the type of product that was made here in Cincinnati, that was made in the Hanover, Westphalia area of Germany. It's kind of in the upper quadrant. Made there, probably, definitely not known as Goetta, but known probably as Grützwurst, or grits and sausage.
Gotcha.
So that's where it began. When groups of those immigrants came to Cincinnati, they brought those kind of products with them. It is a peasant food, or was, because you could take the scraps of the hog at killing time, mix it with some grain to extend it, and you could wind up with some pretty good, healthy product.
So it's filling. It's got some grain in it.
Yes.
It's got the meat itself. So at what point did this take off and become a staple?
Well, in the mid-60s, the United States Department of Agriculture was establishing what they called standards of identity. In other words, they took products and said, okay, this is what a wiener is, this is what a bologna is, this is what, so they restricted as to what you could call it when you made it. Goetta was one of those regional products that didn't have a standard of identity, and USDA established one. They used my dad's formula as the basis for the standard of identity. Now, it has some other things in it. For example, he uses only whole grain steel cut oats, but you could also use oatmeal if you wanted to use that under the standard of identity.
Let's talk about, for those who don't know, what is steel cut?
Steel cut, if you looked at a whole grain of oat, it looks somewhat like wheat or rice, all right? And then to steel cut it, you take essentially and blow it down a little tube and have a knife break it into 3 pieces. That's steel cutting the oat.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what happens in the factory.
Okay.
There's more than one room. What happens in here?
Yes, Goetta is a denatured product.
Meaning?
Denatured, cooked, partially cooked. That's our first and what we call parboil. You boil the meat off. Then we take the meats, grind them, mix them with the rest of the ingredients, the oats, the spices, the herbs, which is onion, fresh onion, and mix that all together and then stew it for hours until it gets ready. When you hydrate the oat, that's when you know it's done.
So we're going to go inside and take a look around and see all the process. The one guy in there, he was taking it and actually manually.
Yes.
It comes into a tube, it cuts it off, and he stacks it over, and the guys there pricing it. So this is still manually done.
Oh yes, yeah. It's still manually stirred. I mean, we don't have machines to stir. We got guys with big, strong shoulders mixing that Goetta up.
Do you ever have a fear that it might get so popular you might not be able to keep up with demand?
Haven't made it there yet.
You hope to do that.
Hope to do that.
I hope we introduce a lot of people to this product. And where can you find it now? I know we found it in Frankfurt.
It's in most of the Krogers. We're in Meyer, We're in Walmart, many of them. We don't go too far south, but the Kroger stores are in all the way down to Nashville.
Thank you so much for sharing history with us today,
Thank you so
tradition,
much.
and gotta get some Goetta.
Gotta get it.